Hi everyone, and welcome to the tutorial for the Blood Test Tracker Plus with charts and optimal ranges. I will be using Google Sheets today to demonstrate the tutorial, but if you're using Excel, just know that the spreadsheet does look and function almost identically, so you can definitely follow along, and I'll do my best to call out any differences as we go along. So to begin, this is your Home tab where you'll find some important links here on the left. The most important of all of these is the tutorial and setup guide, so that anything that may not be discussed in this video, if you have any questions or you're looking for information on how to do certain things that I don't discuss now, you can go to this website and hopefully find the information you're looking for there. And if you don't, you can always click on the help and support button, which will take you to my help and support page. Now, other important things on this page in particular include the select your date format. This is a new feature so that everybody can be happy and kind of easily change the way that the dates are being displayed in their spreadsheet, no matter where you are in the world and what date format system you're used to. So you can just select from here, even the ISO standard here, and it will automatically change. I'll show you later on the next tabs the way the dates are being displayed. And yeah, there's some, like, this is a color legend, which I'll go through later once we start adding some data, because it'll be more clear when you see actual values. And another thing that is just here for your ease of use of this spreadsheet, it's a table of content with clickable sections. So whatever you click, let's say enzymes, it'll take you directly to the beginning of that section. The same is true for the quick stat panels, which I'll explain also in a little bit. But let's say you want to go to the thyroid quick stat panel, it takes you directly there. Here's where we are, and back to the home page. Okay, great. So the next tab is the test results tab. This is the most important tab, actually, of the entire spreadsheet, because this is where all the other tabs are pulling their information from. So this is kind of where you will be working the most in the beginning to get set up. You'll see that on the top left, well, this whole section up here, let's say you have your personal information section. Here I started putting like John, let's say you want to be John Doe. Sorry, sometimes the bold carries over. There you go, John Doe. Let's say you're male. And the date of birth is actually quite an important cell that you might want to fill out, because if, let's say I put January 1970, you'll see that later, once we start putting dates here, your year, your chronological age, will appear up here. And some formulas do look at your chronological age to calculate. For example, there's a new marker for, let me see if I can find it. Here, there's a new longevity section, and I've added a marker for biological age, and that in particular will be looking at your chronological age to calculate the biological age. So it's something that you probably want to fill out when you're getting started, your date of birth. Okay, these are just, if you want to fill them out, great, and nothing will happen if you don't. Even your weight, whether you fill this out or not, is not going to make a big difference, because you have your weight here, which will be used for certain calculations, such as, for example, the grip strength, relative grip strength. As you can see, if you double click on the formula, it highlights this value, so you know that your weight will be taken into account when calculating this particular marker. And so whatever weight you put here will not make any difference, let's say, to calculations, but height will, because we have the waist to height here. I'm not sure if there's anything else with height, if I can think of, but yeah, basically I've given you a drop down for centimeters and inches. If you are using inches, please use total inches, okay? And based on what you select here in terms of your unit of measure and the height that you put here, let's say your 190 centimeters. When calculating, for example, the waist to height ratio, you'll see that this formula is looking at not only your height, but also the unit of measure that you chose. And for the waist, you will be putting your waist measurements here and selecting the unit. Even if you select different units, like let's say you choose inches here, for example, inches, but you select the centimeters here, the formula should be able to calculate properly the waist to hip, the waist to height ratio for you. Okay, I kind of jumped ahead a bit here with formulas, but it was just to show you what information in this section is important for some of the calculations and which ones are not. Just to give you another brief walk through this page before we start plugging in some information. It is a long list of markers here on the left, especially the immune section is getting longer with every version upgrade. And I understand that not everybody wants to see all these markers all the time, does not need all these markers. So basically you have a few options. You can choose to just hide them using the plus and minus signs here on the left. You can also hide entire categories, not only the subcategories. Categories are in light gray, and subcategories are in this kind of teal, light turquoise color. You can also just highlight the whole thing if you want and right click, hide rows, if you don't want to use that. You have the freedom to set up your tab the way you like it. And maybe, you can even delete it if you think you'll never need those markers. You can completely delete them as well. That's not a problem. The only thing I ask you not to do is touch this row number 5, because a lot of the formulas are using this row as a starting point. So if you make any changes, like if you add a row above row 5, it will break some of the formulas in other tabs like the charts or the quick stats. So you can rename this row if you'd like if you're maybe adding a new category that you want to have featured first, you can rename it and then add subcategories and the markers underneath, but just do not move or add above this row. So next you have, actually just to show you, if you group and close all the big categories, you can see the end of the spreadsheet here. Okay. So here you will be adding your optimal ranges. These are the ranges that are supposed to be a bit more narrow than the ones that you will see on your lab in terms of the standard normal ranges. They're the more functional ranges for maintaining optimal health, not just not being sick. Let's put it that way. And your normal ranges are the ranges that you'll see on your lab reports. Sometimes people ask me what to do if they have different, let's say, normal standard ranges because they've used maybe different labs or they've gotten tested in different countries. And there is an FAQ on that about that on the website, on the tutorial website. But basically, my advice to you is to either use the most recent, the ranges of the most recent test that you've had, because they should be the most up to date, or use the ranges of the lab that you use the most frequently. But I think the most important ranges in the end will be the optimal ranges, because the normal ranges do kind of change based on the lab, the country, the time of that you got tested, and so on. So if you set the right optimal ranges, small changes in the normal ranges shouldn't be a huge problem. Let me just see if there's anything else. Yes, so this is the column for selecting your units of measure. There are quite a few units already in here. If you feel like there's something missing, you just have to go to the units of measure tab here. There is a small blurb just to remind you how it works, but basically you can scroll down. Let's say you're gonna add now test, a new unit, and that should already appear at the bottom, you see? Okay, and if you want to, reorganize these in a different order, right now they're in alphabetical order. The easiest way is to highlight everything and, go to data, sort range, go to advanced, and you want to sort either maybe by column B or you want to perhaps sort by column C description, and that will, if you press sort, that will change the way that these are being organized, but it doesn't really make a huge difference because even when you're on this page, you can type I don't know what you're looking for, right? So centimeters, for example. Not that centimeters is the right unit of measure for this marker. All right, so this is basically, yeah, the status. You'll see in a bit that this is going to show you the most recent, it's going to show you where you stand in terms of the ranges you've added for your most recent test, but it'll be more clear when we start adding in some information. And notes is a column that you can write whatever you want. Okay, so maybe we can add some blood tests so that it's more clear. I'm gonna hide some of these, and we can, let's do electrolytes. All right, so for example, let's say sodium, an optimal range might be this. Your lab might say this, okay? Your unit of measure might be that. And now here you can say whether you were fasted or not fasted for this test. Let's say you were fasted. And let's say you did this test on, sorry, one second. Let's say you did this test on November 28th, 2023, okay? Now the date format, not only for your date of birth, but also here is being affected by whatever you select here. So let's say now we want to use this format. There might be a little lag while my computer wakes up. 1 second. Yeah, there you go. It's switched now. So whatever you write here, will be controlled by that tab. So let's say that you had 139. I'm going to put some more dates here just so that it's more clear. Yep. 2024. And we'll put here maybe 16th of March, 2025. I'm going to say that I was fasted for all 3 of these. As you can see here, my hypothetical age is changing automatically, or displaying, let's say, automatically based on the calculation of my date of birth and the date that I've inserted for my tests. So let's say 138 and 141. Okay, I'm just going to copy and paste some ranges from somewhere else to speed things up. But okay, so here I'm just going to right click, paste as values only. This is the safest way to copy and paste from other spreadsheets to avoid accidentally copying over some new conditional formatting you're not aware of. Here I'm just going to drag the same unit over. All right, let me just copy and paste also the values here. So same principle, right click, paste values only, okay? So a few things happen here. First of all, you see that some values automatically calculated, and I'll get into those in a minute. I just wanted to show you how the conditional formatting, or like the color code, works. So anything that is turquoise means that it's falling within the optimal range that you've set. Anything that is green is within the normal range that you've set. Red is above the normal range, so above your lab's range, and yellow is below your, below your lab's range, okay? And we have a new feature, let's say for this version 6, which is also now the, basically if you have a value that is within your standard laboratory range, but it's borderline, it will change color. So if it's borderline high, it'll go red, and if it's borderline low, it will go yellow. This way, you don't miss values like that are creeping up or down slowly over time, so that you can, intervene before then. And obviously, if it falls perfectly within the normal range, but outside of the optimal range, it will just be green. For example, if it's, I don't know, 108.5. Let's see if it's green. Yeah, the reason why I wasn't sure is because I've set the formula for the red and yellow text to be within a 5% margin. You can see that here. Basically, the 5% upper limit and the 5% lower limit will change color, okay? So sometimes when the ranges are very narrow, that 5% could be just like 1 point above the optimal or whatnot. So let me get rid of that. Okay, so as you can see, these values appeared automatically. This is a new addition also to this new version, where I've added some automated calculations. In Google Sheets, it is a little bit different than Excel, so I'll explain now. In Google Sheets, going back to our home tab, you see there are 2 emojis being used. Basically, the reason I have 2 emojis is because the way the calculation has been inputted is different, so that you have more flexibility. So when you see a pencil, this just means that every single cell, if you look up here in the formula section, every single cell has the formula, okay? So these are values that sometimes, or actually more frequently, you'll find on your blood test. Like the lab is actually testing this for you. So you may not want a formula to calculate it. You may want to hard code in exactly the result. So let's say 7.81, I want to hard code this result in. Now it's been hard coded, the formula is no longer present, but it has not affected any of the other cells. And if one day I want to add the formula back, I can, let's see if this works this way. Yes, copy and paste the formula from another cell and it will just calculate it again, okay? So it's very easy and safe, let's say, to hard code or delete and copy and paste the formula back in these rows with the pencil. The rows that have the lock, and again, I'm speaking only for Google Sheets right now, the formula is like only present in column I, like expressly present here in this cell. So you won't find the formula in the next cells. This is so that you don't accidentally delete it and then it deletes for everybody else, like for all the rows, right? For all the cells. So you could delete the formula here. My computer does lag a little bit. I apologize. It's going to now, these are going to disappear at some point once my computer wakes up. Okay, there you go. I've deleted the formula. Okay, so now the formula has completely been deleted from this row. So I have to Control Z or Control Z, undo what I just did. And again, it's a bit slow, sorry. The values will appear again. And basically, I did it because these are values that you don't frequently see on your blood test. Like they'll give you sodium, they'll give you potassium, for example. They won't necessarily calculate the ratio for you. So the software is going to do this, well, the spreadsheet is going to do this for you. And it's less likely that you wish to hard code these values in yourself. That's why I kind of cleaned up the formula in a way so that you don't accidentally delete it every time. Unless you obviously delete the first column. And this lock you'll find for most of the ratios, actually all of them, and also some new advanced formulas. For example, I have added the atherogenic index of plasma here. You can see the formulas. These formulas are also smart in the sense that they look at the unit of measure you've selected. So no matter where you are in the world, it will convert and calculate based on your unit. If it's conventional like US units or standard international units, it should. If you have any issues, you let me know, but it should calculate properly no matter what you pick. And so other advanced formulas is like the longevity section here. I've added Levine's pheno-age calculation, which is basically a calculation of your biological age based on several blood biomarkers. And you have to have added all those blood biomarkers for this calculation to appear. You can read more about it on the tutorial page on my website and in the guide, and which markers are involved. If you double click, you can also see them here, and this does look at your chronological age as well, so it's important to have your age up here if you're looking to calculate your biological age. And the delta age is just the difference, so it's going to tell you like if you are 5 years or more younger than your chronological age or a couple years younger, and so on. And then some other advanced formulas include mostly under the sugar section, so like a HOMA-IR for your insulin resistance. The estimated average glucose is here. The HOMA-2 obviously is not here, or maybe not so obviously, but this is a very advanced some like newer formula for calculating HOMA, and it's based on a very proprietary formula that is not, you cannot just plug it into a spreadsheet. It's something that needs to be licensed by the lab and whatnot. So this is something you would get from your lab if you tested for it. But underneath you have quickie, you have the triglyceride glucose index, and another advanced formula here, the free thyroxine index, okay? So the difference with Excel, I'm just moving on to Excel quickly. As you can see, it looks very similar. In Excel, we only have the log sign, and that's because the array formula that I used in Google Sheets does not work the same way here. So actually, every single cell has the formula. So if you accidentally delete a formula in Excel, like now, or purposefully delete it, you can just copy and paste it over from the cell next to it, or drag it over like this. Both work, okay? So going back to Google Sheets, I'm gonna show you some quick customizations that might be useful. Like for example, let's say you want to add a new biomarker that's not present somewhere already existing. Obviously, if you scroll down to the bottom here, you can add extra rows. Actually, they're already here, and add whatever you want. But in this case, I'm thinking more, let's say you want to add, I don't know, another marker here. You could click and do either insert one row above or below. Let's say it's above. You can write the name of your marker here. You can add the unit, the ranges. The selector for the unit is already present. In this case, you can see, or maybe you can't, up here, the formula is missing for the status bar. Okay, it's above or below. You can either just drag it down, you could copy, you can copy and paste it in, or you could have just copied an entire row. Here, I'm doing copy and then pasting that row there, and then everything would already be, would already have copied through. So you have different ways of doing this. Just going to delete this, and if you're copying a subcategory, I would recommend just literally copy and then paste that subcategory. Sorry, I didn't paste it. There we go, paste. Sometimes you have to fix the alignment of the text. I'm not quite sure why, but like here you see it's aligned to the bottom, so you just go here and center it. And the same would work for the category. Like let's say I copy here and I paste it here. Now I have a different category. Just be mindful that the groups are going to change a bit as well. So you might have to clean those up depending on what you do to group. I don't know if you know, but it's you kind of highlight what you want to do and you right click, view more actions, and you have like group on group, and you can work with that. So I'm just going to go back to delete everything we've done. Okay, in Excel, you can do a similar thing. I think the best thing in Excel is actually to copy and paste, and I'll explain why. If you look at column F, there are numbers here, number 2 and number 1. This is because the conditional formatting in Excel is being guided by whatever number you put here. So if I, say I add a row here, okay, it's an empty row with nothing in it. Oh, sorry. If I add 2 here, it should become gray, yes. And if I add 1 here, it becomes teal. You would have to then change the color of the font to match, to hide it, if that's what you're doing. And if I instead, let me go back, copied from here the unit selector and pasted it there, then I could be using this for a biomarker. So this is all to say that in Excel, it's the easiest thing. Even in Google Sheets, it's just to copy and paste whatever it is you're trying to replicate. And grouping is a bit different. The grouping function here, you would be going to, let me see if I remember, data, here, group and ungroup. So that's where you will find that, all right? I'm just gonna delete what we just did. All right, so let's move on now back to Google Sheets to the next tab, the Quick Stats tab. This is a blank tab. basically, this is a way for you to create your own personalized dashboards without having to rearrange or touch the test results tab too much, okay? So in the end, like, you could actually just not even hide anything in the test results tab and do all of your changing, let's say, in the quick stats tab. So these are example quick stats tab, just to give you an idea of how it works. You can organize it by, let's say, health concern. You could organize it by, I don't know, biomarkers to track more closely or whatever, or whatever it is. Here I've done a few. So bone, heart, immune system, female and male health. You have metabolic health, nutrient status, thyroid health, and this is a new one, longevity, where I've included the two formulas that are new, the biological age and delta age. This is the only quick stat tab that is a little different from the others because I've had to hard code these in. As you can see, they don't have a drop down, and that's just because of the way the conditional formatting works for these values. So yeah, all the other quick stat tabs are following the usual format except for this one that has a special case scenario, just so you know. So let's say I don't know, you want to create a panel for, let me see here, a panel for a comprehensive metabolic panel, okay? You just type in whatever you want to call it here. You could rename it here the way you want. Then when we get to the charts tab, I can show you how you can kind of organize these. For example, let's say we're not at the charts tab yet, but let's say you wanted to make a charts tab just for your CMP. You can just like call it this way, so that way you have it organized, but I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So comprehensive metabolic panel, here I would be picking obviously the markers that go into it, but we haven't really filled out this tracker, so nothing's appearing yet. But if we put our potassium, which we've done, and we've done our sodium, you see this quick stat is going to pull the data from the test results tab. So you'll have the dates automatically appearing here. You'll have obviously the values appearing, and you can scroll over. You have the exact same number of columns, which I haven't mentioned yet. It's 100 columns. So you have 100 test dates worth of columns here that will be filled out from the test results. You have the last test date, so it would tell you the last time you've tested this particular biomarker. This is new also for this version. It will give you the last known reading. Before you had to scroll over to see it, but now you get it here. It will pull the status, and it will also pull, you can see the formulas here, it will pull the notes from the test result tab. You may not want to pull the notes. You may want to write fresh notes, so you can overwrite it and just write in there, no problem. And that's basically just the gist of it, like how the quick stats work. It's your personalized dashboard. And if you want to, and there's some instructions here also, and if you want to take it a step further, you click here on row 5 and you unhide the intervention tracker. So the intervention tracker is just a way for you to track any lifestyle or medical movement or behavioral changes that you're implementing into your life to see below if they're making a difference, So let's say you're starting medication XYZ, and let's say you're starting it on November 29th, 2023. You see it says pre-start because the closest test date to the start date is earlier. So since we don't have a test date exactly on the day that you started, it will say pre-start because this is like the closest date it has. If I had put the exact same day, it would just say start. And let's say I take this medication until March 16th. It should say complete. So then when I'm looking at my blood tests here, I can see like what changed, like even going back historically, if you don't remember things that you tried or did, you can see how that affected your blood tests or other tests that you're tracking. And the same goes for supplements and diet and lifestyle. I just separated them into 3. You can change it if you want. Just a reminder, the test selector from the home tab is still working also here at changing the dates, okay? And there are formulas here in every cell to show you this. If you want to add more rows in Google Sheets, actually the same thing will be true for Excel. Just copy and insert. Here you'll have to merge. You can just actually drop it down like that because it's a few columns, right? And it should work exactly the same. Let's give it a shot. February 2nd, 2024. Yeah, you see it already picks it up and knows it's a date. Except you see nothing appeared, and that's because there are no formulas. Again, this is the formula row. There are no formulas down here. So the best thing to do is to select the row, and I'm having some problems here dragging it down. Let me just do copy and paste. There you go. So if you can't drag it down like me, I just copied and pasted it down, and now you see it picked it up. And this is just blue because it means you haven't stopped yet, and it thinks that you're still doing whatever it is you're trying to track here. You know, it's still ongoing. So I'm just gonna undo all of this. So that's the gist of this tab, and here you'll have a summary of all the values within this panel that you're creating that fall within the different categories. All right, and then last tab is the charts tab. So here once again you have some dates, which are again they're following the date selection, the date format from the selector on the home page. You can either select the dates that you want to show, for example, okay, it's gonna take too long. Let's say 2023 January, okay, and then until maybe 2024. So you could select the range here. So let's find something that we have added, like potassium. Okay, this is where you select the marker that you want to graph or chart. There's a drop down, and as you can see, it's showing now. Okay, this is why it's showing 2025, because you can tick to show all dates here. So if I only put, I think I had put a different month. If I do this, there. If I do this, you see the first 2 dates that we have added to the test results tab are being charted. If I tick on show all dates, it will show you everything that is available for that particular marker. So the bar graph, the bar chart is quite self-explanatory. Let me see what I could, let's take an anion gap, okay. If I go to the anion gap, you'll see that it shows the different colors, exactly as it does on the test results tab. And also in the line graph below, it's a bit less maybe intuitive, but you see the 2 light blue lines. That's your optimal range, and then your normal range is below the red line and above the yellow line. And in this case, you can see that everything is below. It's like yellow, it's low, and then it's barely within the standard range. If I find something else to chart, like the ratio is all great, and it's falling in between the ideal range. And here are some new values as well. You'll have a latest value, like the last test, what the value was, the average value for the entire period that you've selected. So if you are only selecting a short segment of the timeline, then it will be a different number here. You'll have the lowest and highest values, so what the lowest value in that range that you've selected was and the highest. You can see your ranges again, and here you can like take notes once again, okay? And you have 12 of these to use as you please. Unfortunately, you cannot really like hide them in Google Sheets, because even if you hide the rows, the charts will just float So you could, if you want to clean up the sheets, like if you could delete them, but just make sure you never delete the blank main one, the main tab, because if once you've deleted it, it's gone forever. So let's say you want to duplicate this. You can duplicate the chart this way. Now you can name it whatever you want. You don't have to keep the emojis or anything like that, but you can just name it CMP. Let's say they go together, and you don't want to have so many blank charts. You could just, I don't know, highlight all of them and then delete. Now it's a clean chart, but just make sure you always keep one that has everything you need. Otherwise you will lose it forever. You'll have to start, not forever, you'll have to start a new fresh sheet. And also in terms of printing, it should be set up for ideal printing. If you go to print, pick landscape, it should be already set up to have 3 charts per page, and it repeats the date selection on top. Okay, so this basically, I like to do quick stats and charts and like duplicate as many times as necessary and group them together. You can even color your tabs. For example, change color here. You can make it, I don't know, red. And you can like group them and organize them as you please, okay? One thing I want to say is that in Excel, it's a bit different. Going to Excel, you'll notice when you first open your Excel sheet that you're going to be asked to enable macros. And this is specifically for the charts tab. So you have to enable macros if you want to be able to duplicate this tab. You cannot right click and copy. It's not going to function properly. It will seem like it's working, but there will be errors in the calculations. And unfortunately, I have not been able to find a solution that doesn't use the macros. So the macros are only for this particular part that I'm going to show you now, which is you press this button here to duplicate the tab. So duplicate this tab, you press it once, you'll see that message that everything has been done successfully, and now you've duplicated the tab, okay? And you can rename it and treat it just the way we did now in Google Sheets, but do not right click copy this tab. It will not function properly. So I'm gonna delete this now. Okay, and yeah, so that's basically the only difference in Excel. So going back to our Google Sheets, I'm just gonna make this a bit smaller. Oops, wrong one. So you can see it all here. Oh yeah, sorry. One more thing in Excel that I forgot to mention. Let's make it smaller here as well. Is that in Excel you can crop here, not crop. You can hide the charts if you want, because the charts do disappear. Something that doesn't happen in Google Sheets. So no need to really. In fact, I advise you not to delete any of. Don't delete any rows like I showed you in Google Sheets in Excel, because it might mess up the macro allowing you to duplicate this chart. So just do this to clean it up if you need to. And I think I said everything that I needed to say, except for one more thing, which is if we go now to the Home tab, tutorial. So this is where you will find obviously this YouTube video, but then also the step-by-step tutorial that I keep referring to. You can use the toggle here to select the version that you have. It will slightly change the instructions below each tab, and it's pretty straightforward. And then if you keep going down, you have the FAQ section, which has been grouped in terms of the categories, and whatever you click on will appear. For example, if I accidentally deleted the formula, what do I do? It tells you how to get it back depending on which version you have selected here. And one more thing to say about dates is if your dates are not showing properly, then I explain for Windows and Mac how to fix your regional settings if that's the problem. So that's it for this tutorial, and thank you for watching, and have a wonderful day.